Hi everybody, welcome to the Spin Cycle podcast talking to the personalities, the groups and the brands that make London and the UK an incredible place to be a cyclist. Today, special guest, really pleased to have you on. I know we've been talking for a while and I think people should really be looking forward to this one. It's Russ Downing. Russ, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Hi guys, nice to join you. Looking forward to this one.
So, order of the day, typically we break the podcast into 3 sections. So that's who are you, how'd you get in cycling. Section 2, we'll be speaking about Russ's pro career and the things that he's been doing after, specifically around coffee and coaching. And the third part we'll get into is typical Q&A. This one's going to be a cat amongst the pigeons because, people will know that a lot of it is white bib short chat and cobblestones versus mountains. So, we could have the first guest that goes 2 for 2, but, not to spoil the upcoming episode because we haven't even talked about it yet. So to start, Russ, maybe tell us who you are and how did you first get into cycling?
Well, I think who I am now is a different person to maybe most of this chat. I was a pro bike rider for a good 20 years or more. Now I've been retired since 2019. Still ride my bike as much as I can. We've got a few businesses that we're juggling and getting off the ground at the minute, so a lot of energy into them. But mainly, grew up always wanted to be a pro bike rider, and then when I was sort of like 15, 16, became pretty good at national level, winning national medals. I think I won 5 national medals in all, one in every discipline at the under 16s level, which made me sort of, broke me into Team GB on the track and things like that. So that's kind of where it started serious. Sort of a couple of years before that, I was doing a lot of sports, sort of, rugby, football, all sort of the things. Broke my collarbone at rugby once. Went back home, and my dad says, "You won't be playing that again, will you, son?" So that was one sport, big cross through it. But then I carried on playing football for quite a bit. Played for Rotherham United under 16s, and it was kind of good story there on how I sort of packed that in. It's becoming hard work to get to train. I think it was a Thursday night training was, and on that Thursday evening there was a local road race that all the big pros used to ride. Chris Walkers, Mark Walshams, all those sort of guys, and I wanted to go and watch them. My mum and dad, my dad used to race, my mum used to go and help out organising things. So I was always having to find my own way to football practice, not far down the road, 5-6 miles, the bus, catch a lift, do something.
Yeah.
And it just became hard work. And my mum and dad, they weren't really pushing me to say, one or the other, but it just became, a bit of a chore. And I just said one day, I'd rather be at the bike race. So the decision was made. It's the same on a Sunday morning. I'd be out on the club run and then go and play in the afternoon. And the manager was sometimes like, "Oh, you turn up tired. How many miles you done today?" It was like, 50, 60, 80 miles. Bloody hell! Well, no wonder you're tired. 15-year-old, 14-year-old, or whatever. So they started to get this, that I was probably putting more energy into the cycling. So then the manager subbed me, and it'd be like, I was like, gave him a Sunday afternoon up to sit on the bench type thing. So that's how I found the decision was made to go cycling, and then like I said, the year after, when I think it was a year and a half later, GCSE year, my dad's like, make sure you try and juggle both, do a bit of revision, get out on your bike. I didn't pick a book up. I just got on my bike. Don't try this at home, kids. I think I've always said to people, try and do a bit of both. But I'm pretty. If I'm doing one thing, I'm doing one thing, and the cycling was what I loved. Anything at school with sport, I loved it, but I wasn't very academic and all that. So that's when it all began, and it kind of began. I think you hear a lot of these stories. It was all family based, or this, that, and the other, and it was the same with me and my brother. My granddad did it. He rode a few races, but nothing major. Just travelled the country, watching races, watching his friends, and that. Then my dad moved it up a level. He rode at national level. He won a medal in the tandem national track champs with a good friend of his.
Wow.
So he was
amazing.
He was more of a sprinter guy. and then he had myself and Dean quite young, so we put most of energy into that. But then me and Dean took it to the next level and became pro. So it's always been in the family for quite a few years. So yeah, it's been a good journey for sure.
What kind of bikes were you riding in your youth?
Anything that I could fit on, really. Being a small guy, it was always like strap the saddle to the top tube, or I probably we mentioned pre-chat. Can you send some pictures through? And I was saying I grew up in cycling more or less at grass track stroke carnival races. My dad had gone racing them, and I'd be in the centre of the track, messing around, picking anyone's bike up, and they'd be like, "You can't ride that, son. You're too small for it." And I'd just jump on any bike, get in between the top tube, try and ride it, try and pedal it. And I still have stories now from people saying, "Yeah, I remember you at Leeds Round Day Park, stealing my bike in the break and going off for a ride." I couldn't fit on anyone's bike, and it's not changed much since until they've just started making frame. Really, I was always on the smallest frame, saddle down on the top tube, off we go. So it was just whatever you could get hold of in those times. It changed a little bit, Paul, when I was getting to sort of 13, 14. I could ride like probably a 19-inch frame was the smallest road bike you could have then, with full size wheel. I do remember one of my bikes. I think I was probably 12 or 13. It was a red Coventry Eagle, and it had aero brake levers, clipless pedals, and my brother was on a full size bike, Dean, and he was pretty pissed because he had the non-aero levers, but he was on a full size bike. And one story on that bike I do remember, I think it was cycling proficiency at school, and that was the only bike I had. So I rocked up to cycling proficiency in my kit, clipless pedals on. So I've got to do this. And I remember in the estate where we were doing it, I say bloody years ago now, but I do remember the girl who stopped at the junction as if to say, "What do I do now?" And I, typically being a racer, shot up the inside of her, look right, quick, bump, we're out. And the instructor was like, "Russ, I know what you do, but this is a cycling proficiency. It's not a bloody race." So it's like, I'm going for it. There's nothing coming. I'm against the clock here. So from an early age, I just wanted to go forward fast and A to B as quick as you can. So yeah, it was good fun at school, and so all the teachers were like, if you want to get anything good out of him, you've got to let him burn some energy, and that was me.
What was it like in the sort of early days of, you said you came on Team GB's radar, taking a lot of like junior medals and things like that. What was it like in the early days? Because obviously there was a while where Team GB was known at an Olympic level for, it was the only place where we were winning medals, right? And it was a lot of grassroots stuff, especially like you said, grass racing. But what was it kind of like during those times before, I guess that's Team GB became so professionalized, you could say, what it is?
It was, we got the odd trip now and again with Team GB. There's a few track races. So the first track race that I did was, I think I was just 16, and I went and did. It was like an under 18s camp and an under 23 camp to Alkmaar in Holland. That was led by Alan Sturgis and Colin Sturgis. They were the manager, and Colin was looking after that then. So we all went out there. Dino was riding for the under 23 squad, and you probably got 2 or 3 trips a year. It was nothing major, no big support. You made your own way there, and so it was quite strange. And I think it all started to turn around probably 1998 when lottery funding came in, and I think I was one of probably the first riders to get lottery funding back then. I was just an up and coming sort of under 23 rider on the road, and still doing a little bit of track. So yeah, it was a good time to get a bit of funding there, and I was kind of riding on the road a little bit with Team Bright, it was called back then. All the big team pursuiters rode for Team GB, and they rode for Team Bright as well. So I was in the thick of it with all the best pros in the UK. I think we'll throw some names in there. There was Chris Walker, Johnny Clay, Matt Illingworth, Rob Ailes, Bradley Wiggins was even there as a young junior. So there were some great names. Yeah, Brian Steele. I think the list goes on. It was the super team in the UK, but I got the best of both worlds. I'd ride a few GB races as well as a junior, which was good. I think junior worlds, junior Europeans, and things like that. So yeah, it was a good start to my career in '98.
So did you go? Was there any sort of like, I guess, before you were like became a full-time pro? Was there any? Did you have to do any like part-time jobs at all, or was it straight from school into like professional cycling?
No, it was. It's kind of like I said. My dad was like, you need to do something else, because at that time there wasn't a route. It weren't like you leave school and you've already got signed, So I was on the radar, but there was no direction in the radar, So my dad was like, yeah, see what you can do. And my dad was a carpenter, so I'd always help him out at jobs and that. And then when I left school, more or less straight away, I got a job as a shed maker. So erecting all the sheds in the jigs and doing that. I think it was £50 a week, and I was like, I was loving this, And the thing was, the guys at work knew I was a bike rider, so they used to, let me have a bit of time to get on with that. And then I think it was like 18 months after that, I got an apprenticeship in carpentry and joinery in Big Steelworks in Sheffield. And that came through a friend of mine, and they knew I was cyclist and all that. And it was working really well. It was a 4-year apprenticeship. But then 18 months, 2 years in, the boss and the foreman was like, I know you're doing this bike riding and things, but it's, can you do some more overtime? And I was like, well, Tuesday evenings or Thursday nights when the road race is on. Saturday afternoons is when the chain gang's on, so I can do them in other days. And he kept throwing the overtime in the mix where the gangs and the rides were, and I was like, that's kind of that's not what we agreed. I said I'll do it other days, and then so he was like, I already remember it. One Friday afternoon, I had to make him a cup of tea for break at 9:30. And I'm putting the kettle on. He comes over and he's like, Russ, we need to chat. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. I could tell he was getting a bit, a bit hard with me turning him down on overtime. But, I wasn't taking the piss. It was, I'd do it on the days that I could do it. And he said, I think this bike riding's getting in the way of work. And I literally sort of stopped brewing his cup of tea, turned to him and went, sorry, mate, I think it's the opposite way around. I think this work is getting in thing with my bike riding. And I said, I need to go home and have a think about this. So I went home, spoke to my dad, told him the conversation, and he just said, son, he said, whatever you want to do, he said, if you want to ride your bike, I'll back you 100%. So then I, thought about it over the weekend, probably did 200-mile rides or whatever, and just thought, right, yeah, this is where I want to be. Went back into work Monday morning, and the boss had his secret office that no one could go into. And I remember, this little nervous boy, tapping on this door as if to say, I need a word with you. So he's like, come in. And I, redid the conversation and said, I want to discuss what we were chatting about the other day. I said, I want to have my notice in. And he was like, what? So and then that was that, week later, walked away. And that was the start of me racing. My dad would always help me out if he ever needed, a few quid for a cafe stop or an inner tube. He'd find the money from somewhere. But that was the start of it. And one of the big instigators in all that was Chris Walker, who was my big friend. He's my best buddy now, best man at my wedding. He's really looked after me. And he used where I worked in, so it was just on the outskirts of Sheffield. It was on one of the routes what all the boys used. So every time I'd come out of the work to go and service some machines or do something, they'd be turning right and going over the crossing. Hey, it was just like, thanks for ruining my day. They're just off out on a bike ride, and it was just. And then they'd message, or ring me later that night. Oh, what were you going to do? We went and had this at the cafe. It was just like it was getting too much. So. It was just a lot of things lined up, and that made me into bike. That was that was 97 that all that sort of kicked off, and then the year after is when lottery funding came in. So I just had to get through. I got through that last 6 months of 97 just on whatever really, a few expenses to races and nothing major. But lottery funding came at a good time. So that was that.
Maybe that's a great point to head to section 2.
Sounds good. We could chat forever about this. So my career is going on too long. About 5 podcasts, I think.
We absolutely love it. That sounds like it sounds like you're in it sounds like you're in one of those adverts for like Pau Normal or Asos. You're like tinkering in a factory, and it's like grey. Your bike's outside, it's raining, you're hankering to ride your bike. It's normally shot black and white kind of style.
Oh, like you said, I used to ride to work on the bike, and there was numerous times my bike would end up on the crane in the steelworks, and they'd have stuff wrapped from it. The steel, what they used to drag the bales around with. It was just like, I'd just take it down. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow, and just ride home on it. So we had some good fun. I met some great friends, and the steelworks there used to look after me with a bit of sponsorship. So
yeah.
It was good, but it was definitely a good decision maker. Not really had a serious job since until now.
Did you ever? We mention this brand everywhere. Did you ever get on a Claude Butler in those days?
I think I had a Club Butler mountain bike. I think, yeah, but not a racer. Yeah, I think my dad. So my dad used to have a bike shop. So he always used to have different bikes coming in. He used to sell Claude Butlers, but yeah, I think everyone who said, yeah, your dad's got a bike shop, you can have any bike you want, but yeah, you have to pay for it. So I think my first mountain bike that I ever bought was I think a Townsend Barracuda or something, bright blue with same again. I put Look Illuminous yellow clipless pedals on it. I was like, yeah, I'm loving this. So yeah, it was good fun.
Did you ever have the Spinnaker wheels when they were a thing at that time? Or
Spinages.
Spinages, that's it. Yeah.
Spinages, yeah, the carrot choppers. Yeah, I raced on those. I think. Yeah, I definitely had those. I had Spinaci bars. So that was my era. I'll tell a story a few times. The Spinaci bars actually probably saved my world championships as a junior.
Okay.
We're out there, Slovenia, Novo Mesto. Team manager says, right, we're going for speed today. I'm going to put you all on Continental. This is where the viewers will be like, no one used to ride these millimeter tires. He put us on Tempo 19 mil tires, and it was like, right, we're going for speed. And Mike Taylor, just recently passed away. A lot of the guys on this will probably know him. Looked after Charlie Regalius, Team GB manager. But he probably did every team meeting with a cigar in his mouth. He was like, oh. He said, right, we're going for speed today, lads. I'll put you on bloody 19 mil tyres. And we were like, he said, if you puncture, you've shit it, your race is over. And it was like, I remember his words saying, you puncture, you shit it, your world championships is over. And who gets a flat tyre is me. And I'm like, and I remember Mavic neutral service. It's a bit like seeing the guys now with a drill at the side of the road, just like this guy literally didn't have a clue what he was doing, taking my front wheel out.
Really?
So I got him out of the way, got my wheel back in, and it felt like I was at the side of the road for 5 minutes. But it was a great top of this hill section, and I just thought, right, I'm going to go down this descent like an absolute nutter to get back onto the convoy. So yeah, I'm on my Spinaci's, just going tanking it over these bridges, and I get to this second bridge, and there's been a big crash. So these team cars, these bodies everywhere, and I just managed to use what was left of all the convoy and all that, and got back into the peloton. And it was like, I'd never forget it, because Mike Taylor said, yeah, you puncture on your skinny 19 mils, your race is over, and it nearly was. But Spinaci saved my race. I think I was like 41st or something. The group up the road, The bunch sprint was absolutely crazy. There was people bouncing up and down pavements, and riding through rubbish bins. It was just typical junior racing. Here we go, things. Yeah, and I've still got the race jersey that we did that racing, because I think that was 95, and I think the Team GB jerseys that they made for us, they had some leftover material from the Atlanta Olympic Games, and they called in the teabag shirt. So it had all the holes in it, and literally it was the worst fitting shirt in the world, walking around like a paper bag in the wind. Still got it now. It's pretty cool. It was when GB had a big blue, like a Union Jack on it, so blue going into red and then faded. Yeah, so pretty cool times. So yeah, Spinaches and Spinaches got some good time in my memory there for sure. Yeah.
I think we should cut that in, NJ. That's a great fucking story. Russ, like I think we could speak to you all day.
Million stories like that, if you need any. Been around the block.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Russ, in section 1, you mentioned about, I guess, track racing. Did you do track racing in your pro career?
Yes, a little bit. It's kind of weird. Pros mainly. It's changed a little bit now, but pro back in the day was more just road riding and things. But yeah, I did some Madison with my brother, which was pretty cool to hold hands with my brother all the way around the world. We rode some good World Cups together. We were 4th in Moscow. We qualified Team GB for the Olympics. We didn't actually go to the Olympics. They sent some choppers called Wiggins and Cavendish or something. But yeah, so I do really enjoy track racing. I think the speed and the feel you can get on a velodrome, using it for its advantages. One, to speed you up, to slow you down, to change direction. It's a good feeling. And then throw in the mix a Madison, which is just it's crazy. It's the wacky races on a velodrome.
Very much is.
A lot of people, they watch the race, they don't even know what's going on. They don't know who's in the race, who's out the race. And if you don't concentrate, that's what it's like actually on the track. If you switch off, you're done. It's kind of the easiest bit mentally is actually when you're in the race, because you can just pedal fast, you can just do whatever. But as soon as you're out swinging out of the race, you're looking back. Where's my partner? Where's my brother in this case? And who have I got to follow to drop back in? It's just it's very very intense racing for an hour, and the speed is unbelievable. So, but yeah, track racing is good. I mentioned earlier some of the reasons I got into bike riding was a grass track, which is same fixed wheel, but just not got the banking. So to ride some of the best tracks in the country and in the world was class.
Did you have a favorite event on the track?
Yeah, just like I said, the Madison was great. Points race and scratch were good. Wasn't really keen on the pursuit and things, but I've won team pursuit, British title. Even won a gold medal in the World Cup in Australia for Team GB. We won gold there. I think it was pre everyone going absolutely super fast. I thought it was mega fast. I think we did a 4:07, which now you'd have probably got lapped 3 times at that, but we won gold medals, so it was good times. So yeah, I could turn my hand to a few bits. We mentioned earlier about under 16 level. I won the sprint and the points race, so it's 2 totally different sort of things. But at that young level, I was pretty fast. And I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think I'm probably one of the only guys to win the points race in all age categories. So under 16, nice. Junior, and then senior. So you'll have to look that up and see if it's true. I think that is actually.
We won't look anything up, Russ. We're just going to go, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't think there's anyone else done it, Like Chris Newton's probably won a few. few points races, but I'm sure there'll be someone go on to do it now. They get so good at such a young age nowadays, and then if they don't burn out or lose themselves, they continue for quite a few years. But yeah, it's a good stat to have on the track.
And then after that, so moving 2005 national champion, those armbands are gonna forever be with you. Custom kit, special order gets the armbands. Why didn't you talk about that race? You pipped Steve Cummings in the end, right?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I was kind of probably fired up, pumped, call it what you wish, because the Wednesday night we had the national crit in Otley, and I was a fast finisher. I was going well. I wanted to win the crit. Otley, quite a local town to me. I got second. Certain Mark Cavendish beat me that night. He just got over me on the finish line, and I was gutted. Cav was up and coming. I think he was riding for the Academy of Purcell then. And I was like, I made a mistake. At that sort of time, we were probably equally matched. But I got the last corner slightly wrong. I mispedaled a little bit, and he got over me, and he picked me on the line. So, going into the weekend, I was probably, I was pretty revved and pumped. And I went and, won on Sunday. And then I forgot about Wednesday. It was like, national crit over the pro road race. I'll take that. So, yeah, that was good times. But you mentioned about the champ bands, that was good. I always see those on jerseys and wanted them and that. So, they're there forever now. I actually, stole some kit off Swifty the other week. Some of his orange training Ineos gear, and he's got a national band. Yeah, fuck it, I'm allowed to wear these. I've been national champion, not with Ineos, but So it was all good. So yeah, get some stripes on your arm.
It's an absolute privilege to hear you saying you're just casually nicking Ben Swift's kit.
It's not all, it's not all on Nick. It's not all on Nick from him. We are really really good mates. We always train together, and he grew up, knocking on my door to come out training. His mum would come round and say, "Oh, can I Ben come?" When he was like, probably not even maybe 10, 11 years old, 12
really?
Or something. And I was like, yeah, but we're not waiting for him. He knows the route, he knows the plan. And now it's like he'll come out now and he'll say, we're going out, we're going on that loop, and then on the way home he just turns around and says, "You all right?" I said, "No, mate." So it's just payback time. So it's good fun. We were actually out just before he's gone to UAE, and he squeezed me up this last climb to our house, and I'm like, and what are you doing this for? And he'd never look round. And then he got to the top where we finished, and he just said, "I don't think I've got much longer to do this to you, mate. I'm going to retire in a few years." I said, "Well, fucking hurry up and do it." Because it's literally payback time. So, yeah, good friend of mine. The kids play together and everything now. So it's just, it's good. He was trying to get me out on the bike this morning. He just dropped back in the country, and he's like, "Right, we're going out. And I said, "Oh, I'm not sure I can make it." And then he sent me a picture. "Oh, I've jumped on Zwift. We'll try and get out this week." So yeah, he's a good friend of mine. So yeah, probably got all his kit in, get all his kit in here, and saves me. Yeah. So I'm on the same brand as well. Still heavily involved with Pinarello. So it's all good.
I was going to ask about Pinarello. So I know you're working with them now, but what would you say some of the great bikes that you've ridden over your career, or is there anything that stood out as just being like a bag of bits?
Bag of bits. Well, like I said, Pinarello are great. They've always been great. Some of the what's the worst bike? I don't know. Sometimes you have to really think. One bike that I did not like was a Bianchi when I lived in France. Quite a light. It was I think it was the time when Pantani was riding them, and they were very light for going uphill. As soon as you got a bit of wind and some power through the bottom bracket, it was literally going sideways, and I always felt as though my wheel wasn't in straight, or it was just literally sideways down the road. And in the end, my French team just got me an old steel bike, and they sprayed it up Bianchi because I was complaining that much about it, and it just didn't feel right. And I went and still won some great races on this bike. It was probably really lightweight sort of steel bike, but yeah, I just moaned and had it in my head that the brakes were rubbing. It was this, that, and the other. So Bianchi is probably the biggest bag of spanners I've ever rode. Rode Lightspeed, Cannondale. So I've probably rode Pinarello for 6 or 7 years of my career, which is pretty good. I'm an ambassador for the guys now and do a bit of work with them. I always say, don't fleet me because I don't want to ever ride a different bike again. Not rode anything different for a bit. I've got a couple of my old team bikes that I've kept. I wish I'd have kept more. But I've got an old giant TCR that we had at Enduro days. So I've got
Nice.
That was pretty nice bike. Very light, very racy. The only thing it was on SRAM, and I totally hate SRAM. Just don't like it. The only time I got a good result is if I found the right gear. If you change gear and you got it wrong, you're either out the back or just spinning your frigging legs around doing something. But so there's nothing too shoddy that stands out. A few probably shoddy sets of wheels and things like that were like spaghetti. But bikes are bikes. I think from kind of when I was riding, it wasn't too bad really.
And just want to ask you, I know we got off slightly off topic because asking about bikes, but I do want to speak about your 2013 season. So I know we talked about this earlier, but NJ and I went on PCS, did our homework and had a look. We are never going to do Roubaix or RVV or Amstel because we're 31 and I'm 31 and I have a job and child and I can't dedicate that much time to even getting to Belgium. But can you, as the first person on this podcast that's actually ridden Paris-Roubaix as a race and been paid for it, can you maybe explain what it's really like to do versus when you watch it on TV, it looks chaotic. What's it actually like when you're over the pavé in the wheels?
Yeah, it's the same. It's chaotic, But, jokes aside, we had a dry one the year I rode it, so it's pretty dusty. Not cold. It was not a bad temperature, but the only way to explain it is you hit a big hole going down the road, then you hit another one, then you hit another one, and if you're lucky enough to not have a flat tire, then you probably had a good race. But one thing that sticks out, I think I mentioned it about the breakaway, and then you hit the cobbles, and you've just got to keep laying the power down all day. One thing that stuck out, I said about the gruppetto just getting smaller and smaller, and your legs are getting tighter, your hands are hurting, everything's just aching. I hit a hole on the Café de Abra, which I think is section 5 or 6 to go, and I felt like I was back on the Arenberg. It bounced me that far backwards. I think I lost my chain, and I can remember looking up, and I think there were probably only 10 or 15 riders in the group at that point. I could see the riders going away, and literally, I felt like I was a 13-year-old boy again. I thought tears were going to come down my eyes, and I was like, no, I just felt so wrecked that, and I could see the guys going away. I was like, I'm going to have to do the last however many K on my own, but I managed to get back. But the point of that is, the holes, they're insane. It's literally, with me being quite small, it's like I need a bloody ladder to get out of them. Sometimes they were that big and that big. The Arenberg is insane. People think of it. You come in, it's fast, but then it just starts going up. I know you mentioned about cobbles or climbs. The Arenbergs, it's kind of both because you just got to lay the power down, and you get to the end of that where you turn left onto a smooth road, and you see all the people, shaking their hands. It's literally like, can I have some, blood back in my arms, please, or some energy? It's just, it's unreal, and it's a pretty long bike race as well. 260 odd K or something. So
it's a long day.
I always dreamt of doing it. I dreamt of doing it. So when that opportunity came in, midweek to ride, someone had got injured in the team. I just said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll go and do a job. So yeah, it was a good tick box.
That's great. Sort of, I guess, rewinding a bit from your, I guess, winning the national title, and then moving, I guess, was DFL Cycling News, Lightspeed, another UK based team,
No,
and then you moved.
it was a DFL the year before when we were at recycling was a
Yeah.
British team, Driving Force Logistics. Nick, who used to own that, then took the team and merged it with the. It was kind of like the Team Down Under Aussie Cycling News team. He merged it together with that. We all lived at an old bar in Belgium. It was crazy. It was crazy times. You know, we got there in February. You know, bloody freezing cold. Shared a room with my brother. No heating on in the house. We were sleeping with beanie hats on. It was, you know, it was who dares wins. You know, just survive. And the first half of the year, it's always the same. You know, first half of the year in Belgium is grim. It's very, you know, it's just race after race. You know, you're not really training. It's hard. You have to survive. You know, you hear these stories of the old guys. You know, back in the day. You know, sharing a room or sleeping in someone's thing. I'm not saying that's where we were, but it was pretty.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. The team house was freezing. You know, can't grumble. They put a roof over his head for for a few months of the year. But yeah, that was we had a great race program. You know, that was good, but you know it was all it was a challenging year. My brother was you know good by my side. You know, we had a good crack out there. I won some good races. You know, I won. You probably see it on PCS the GP Overracer, which is a really good race. You know, it's around where the Worlds went, around Leuven, so it's on the other side of the hills there. So I won that in August, which was big race. So yeah, I had some good races out in Belgium, and I've had some good good memories in my career out there as well. But you know, living in a cold bar cellar type thing wasn't one of them. Yeah, it's all character building.
What was racing in America like? Because after that season, you went off to HealthNet.
Maxis, yeah, I was good while it lasted. HealthNet at the time, sort of when we were at DFL, were just starting to come into Europe, and they did some races, and then so they were actually at Overracer when I won there. So I was on their radar, and then later on in that year, after Overracer, I was in conversation with quite a few teams. One of them being Slipstream, which was Jonathan Waters. So you know, they were very close. I nearly signed a deal with those. It was more or less the last hour they sort of pulled out, and then I sort of went to a race in Bermuda, end of you know the 2006 year. HealthNet were there then. I went and won the race. We had a really good time. It was a good relaxing race. End of the year, you know. I'm not gonna lie. You know, there's a few parties and things going on, but I was still pretty serious. You know, it was. I think it was just before the World Championships that I went and rode. So I was still in training. But you know, HealthNet were there, so I kind of had a bit of a chat to him. You know, the Waters thing had gone a bit quiet, so I ended up signing with HealthNet Maxis, and then same old thing. I'd done the contract, and then I came back off holiday. You know, end of season holiday, and I had a voicemail from Dave Brailsford, and he was saying that he'd got me a contract with Barlow World, but he just sort of said, "But I've just seen on the internet you've signed with HealthNet Maxis," and I was like, "Yeah, you know, Barlow World." Back in Europe, you know, but I'd already made my decision. You know, I had a few people said to me, America really suits, you know, fast finisher, go out there, get it done. And then you might not even, well, you might know the story. Who went to Barlow World instead of me was Geraint Thomas. And that was
no way.
So Dave B was like, you know, I was first offer, and then G took the contract, and that's when there was Geraint, there was Froome there, and all that. So, if that decision had been different, who knows? But I went to America, won the first race of the year. Then we went on to Tour of California. We had some big race. It was a really big scene in America. It was like crits and 3, 4, 5 day stage races, which really suited me. Then I came home from America after a 3-month stay. I was I'll tell the story now. I was illegally entering the country, but I wasn't. My manager said, it's a last minute contract. We'll get you in and out of the country. You'll be fine, And my second visit back to Philadelphia, I got turned around at customs and sent home, and I've never been back to America since.
Wow.
So what could have been probably a different stage in my career, a start to take the American scene and really get into it, went a bit wrong, and I'm not going to lie to you. 2007 was a big struggle. I had all these things to deal with. I made the wrong decision with Barlow World, this, that, and the other, and I felt like my world was crumbling. So I just raced in the UK for the rest of that year, got my head down. But that was crazy times. We could go on forever about that.
Yeah,
made me feel. But I picked myself back up and raced in the UK, won some good races, and then Phil Griffiths was looking after some local guys, and at that point, and he sort of saw that I was on Rudy Project glasses out in the States, and he just dumped like 10 pair of glasses on my car one day. I think it was Beaumont Trophy or something like that, and said, "We look after us riders, come and see me next week." And that's what happened. I went and saw him, and he said, "I've seen all your issues with America. What do you want to do in your career?" I said, "Look, I'm still loving my bike, and I want to race at the highest level I can." And he built a team around me. And
Amazing.
That was how I got onto Pinarello as a brand, really. So that was 2008. We started that, and it was a good few years.
And then you went on to, is it Candy TV, Marshall's Pesta?
Yeah. So the first 08, it was called Pinarello Race Team. The same team in 2009. It just had sponsor change. So Candy TV was Phil Griffiths' son's company. So and then Marshall's Pasta was obviously it was a pasta company. I think it was Scotland based. Same team, just with a sponsor change. So they were my 2 good years in the UK. That's when I ended up in 2008. I lost Tour of Ireland on the last day to Marco Pinotti. 2 years later, I went back and defended the title and took out the win, which a lot of people said that was the deal that secured me at Sky, but I'm not sure. I've got a great story with that. I was in the last stage with Lars Petter Nordag, and he'd apparently already signed with Sky. So we just broke the remainder of the breakaway, and I'm like, "Come on, Lars, we've got to go. They've got to come back and get us." And he's like, "I'll give you a turn in a minute. I'll give you a turn. I can't work with you." Anyway, gets to the finish. I let him have the win because I'd already took the general, so he took the stage win. I took overall. We're on the podium, and he said, "Oh, I'll see you at Team Sky." Then I'm like, "Oh, I've not signed with Team Sky." Everybody was saying because the 2 years I'd had, 2008, 2009, I had to go to Team Sky, but it wasn't as though I was just bossing the UK. I was going to the continent. I'd had this. This crazy journey. I'd had this track record. I'd been on GB, but finished the stage in Ireland. I'd not had no chat from anyone saying, you're going to Team Sky. So it was like the following week it all kicked off, and I went to Team Sky, and they didn't they didn't give me a brilliant contract after I'd just beaten the world and Lance Armstrong was there, so I had to beg and borrow to get a contract really, but it was a start of things to come, and I enjoyed it, grabbed it with both hands.
When you signed for, I guess, Team Sky, you started going in, I guess, what is now like, I guess, the World Tour races. How much was it everything you expected from, I guess, that journey from, I guess, 2005 to 2010, and you always having your eye on this prize being at the top level? When you got there, how did you kind of, I guess, react? And how, reflecting on it, how does it make you feel?
It made me feel good in myself. I'd always dreamt of doing that, and to actually get there. A lot of people said, yeah, he's not too old, but he's come late in his career. Like I said, so I got on with it. I did my job. But everyone says, what's the difference? There's not a lot of difference. I dipped in and out of big races all throughout my career, like we mentioned, Nova Racer, all these different stage races. That's what it's like at World Tour. Every race is a big race. It's not as if you're going back to a third cat wobbly wheelers crit around wherever. It's literally every race is a big one, and there's no at that sort of time. There's a few little training races and things that people prep for. Now everything's a scrap for the money, for the points. But then it was So it was no change. I love riding my bike. I used to train really hard. I used to up and down peaks and troughs, for different races. So maybe the fancy kit, the fancy bus, and getting looked after was good. Having a laptop provided by the team, a mobile phone, all the best gear was nice. You never had to skimp and scrape or anything, and it wasn't so much. It was all laid on a plate. But if you ever got into difficulty, we had this team phone. If you had a problem with your left shoe, you'd ring Fred. Your right shoe, you'd ring Phil. It was just there was always there was something there for you. They never missed a beat, so you were never left asking. You could always get these questions answered, and they wanted you to be as smooth through the journey as possible when the time suited. And then when you were out of flavour, that was that. So we'll not go into that because people think I'm sitting on sour grapes, but it was good times. I just got through it.
But so speaking of, I know you said the racing now is pretty full gas, right? And post racing, I was looking at your Instagram, your brother's Instagram as well, and through Downing coaching. So you coach some quite significant junior talent as well, right?
Yeah, sort of my brother, because my brother's sort of 4 years older than me. He set up the coaching when I was still racing. He did his training through John Sharples at Training Sharps. Sort of that's where Sean Yates sort of started his coaching. So he'd learned from some of the best, and then we set Downing cycling up as a bit of a brand when I was still riding, and then Dean sort of learnt his trade and said, "Look, I'm thinking of going out on my own. Shall we put it under Downing cycling?" So this is brilliant. I can still race. When I can come in and out of races, I can come and support. Pass the knowledge on that way into Downing cycling, and it's gone from strength to strength from there. Dino was the only coach for a while. I've never been one for actually doing the planning of the riders. I actually like to get out and ride with the guys. If they come over, I'll take them out on chain gang, show them all that sort of side of it.
Yeah.
And then help push the brand forward. Dino was, I think, about 2.5 years ago, probably just after lockdown. He was saying about he can't take any more riders on, and we were still getting all this demand for people wanting it. So
Amazing.
I spoke to one of my good friends, Tom Stewart, who was pro with Canyon. He was thinking of coaching, so we got him on board, got him under the umbrella, and now he sits under Dino, looking at some of Dino's stuff. And now he's the number goes up and down, but I think he's at 10 or 11 riders he coaches now. And then we took on a women's coach, Joe Tinley, who races for the Finish Line team. So it's going from strength to strength, and like I say, I do a lot of the actually riding with the guys. So yeah, it's good. It's good, and still love riding the bike out in the field. So Dino doesn't ride his bike much. He's too busy. He's planning and actually going to. He was at the track champs at the weekend, going to hold up some of the riders and cheer them on and get them through it. So yeah, it's a good team, definitely.
Yeah.
Another part of that training as well is DonnyChainGang as well, right, on Zwift. Am I right in saying it's one of the biggest regular Zwift rides that actually happens on the platform?
I'd like to say so. I created that in lockdown. Everyone always says about the DonnyChainGang. It's a bit of a blur. We have this chain gang on a Saturday up here. We have Tuesday chain gangs, Wednesday, Thursday. When lockdown hit, we'd been spoilt for years. You never had to message anybody. You could just rock up at, Tuesday was at a certain point, Wednesday nights, Thursday was at a certain point, and you could just rock up. If myself, like we mentioned earlier, if me and Swifty were going out on that ride, anybody could come along and they would get to ride with some of the best guys in the country. Lockdown hit, we lost all that. I was already deeply involved with Zwift, doing rides, a bit of an ambassador role with them. So I said, I'll sort this out, guys. I'll get us an event on Zwift. And then, it was at the time when it was 50 people meet up. So the first week I did it, it was like, right, who's in? So I had all these names. I was like organising the bloody event. It was like, right, last minute, no, we're in, we're out. So 5 o'clock in the evening, I'm juggling these balls to try and get a full field. And I think the first one we got about 46. The guys loved it. It was, it was different to any ride on Zwift because the chain gangs that we ride, it's pretty sensible. When it rips up, it rips up. But Zwift's not like that. Everyone goes 1,000 watts out of the car park.
It's ripped from the beginning.
Caffeine gels around. It's ridiculous. But hear me out here. You wouldn't do that if you met at 10 o'clock from the so and so car park. You met at the Coaching House's car park pub. You don't just meet at 10 and all just go boff out of the car park. So I said, we're on Zwift. Why should we do this? Because it's on a digital platform. So I just really, stuck to my guns, and it's just created such a control workout, which, is from what I've learned for years, how you get the best out of a workout. Dino's put all his input in, and probably 2 weeks in, I think Zwift upped the meetup to sort of 100 riders. And then I was on a ride with the guys from Zwift on a Sunday, and they said, "Oh, how's the chain gang going?" I said, "Yeah, it's good, but now we're getting 100 riders that I have to get these riders in, I have to get them out. It's more admin, it's more work. I just want to bloody ride my bike, and get on there." And they went, "Oh, give us a call on Monday. We'll set you up a private link, and you can have your event." So, all right, yeah. So, the next Tuesday, DonnyChainGang banner across the pen and everything. It's like,
wow.
And then, it's 3.5 years later, we're still here. I think for 18 months, we didn't miss a Tuesday or a Thursday. And I probably only missed, I'd say 8 or 9 of them throughout 18 months. So Tuesday or Thursdays, 6 o'clock, height of summer, in the spare room at my house until I built this new pain cave. But another thing I want to add on that, a few weeks in, someone said, "Oh, you think about streaming it?" So I started to stream online while riding it, while juggling the balls, while trying to talk, while trying to chat. Or literally, I'd get to sort of 40 minutes in and just explode. The group would ride away, and it was like, and then Matt Payne, who does all the commentary now for Full Speed events, he does commentary at the Cross, and he's done a lot of the crits in the past for British Cycling.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine, he was coming on some of the coach rides because we looked after his wife and that. He said, "Oh, what are you doing with this streaming? Do you think I can do the commentary on it?" And I was
amazing.
At that sort of stage of it, it was like, "Matt, I'm putting my time into this DCG, I'm just doing it. It's something we did in lockdown. It was, help everyone out. If you can commit to Tuesday and Thursday a week, let's do it." And we could, we had anything on. But then when it came out of the other side of lockdown and life started opening back up, we really had to, put a lot of effort into it, because we'd already built this thing, and we didn't want to let people down. And it's just grown and grown. I think the maximum we had on was probably 400 people one night, and it was, if you guys are familiar with Zwift, if there's any more than 100, it's quite hard to see where the bubble is and all that. Yeah. To control it with 100 or 400 people who think they're the world champion is quite hard. So, right from the start, it's been like, this is, yes, it's a Zwift ride, it's the DonnyChainGang. Yes, there'll be a rip up, but you go when we say go. It's not, if you want to ride off the front, we'll just ignore you. At one time a day when we first started on the commentary, people were on the chat and Matt was commentating saying, "Oh, who's this thing?" And I used to say, ignore the clowns, they're not part of our group, just let them ride away. And then Matt sort of stopped. He stopped commentating about the people in front. The aim of the game is to ride around the leader and follow his pace, and you'll get the workout. And everyone just loved it. Within 3 weeks, they were all gaining so much fitness. They were gaining the capability to control the ride, and we've not moved the workout sort of structure ever. People right from the start. People said, "Put the fence on, put this on." I was like, "No, just listen.
Yeah,
respect the pace of the leader. He's got a big yellow beacon around his head for a reason, and he knows what he's doing. So, if you want to become better and you want to get deeper into the ride with me. It's a controlled, ramped workout, and then at the end, you'll burn some energy, and we call it a go go go. And that's when I sort of literally drop my phone. It's literally, you say go go go. The commentary goes to the roof, and everyone just goes and it's literally a smash fest to the finish.
I think we're signing up. I think I'll be there on Thursday if there's one going.
It's great.
What pace is it before the the go go go?
Not this is the thing with Zwift. Everyone works in watts per kilo. That's good.
What's the watts per kilo?
If someone's tapped the right weight in and they're on this, they're on that. But so I say, look, what's the point in saying 2 watts per kilo if the guy's saying he weighs 30 kilos and he's really 100 kilos? That's just not accurate. So I said, yeah, let's use it as a ballpark, but ride around yellow. So I'll be at a steady two-ish, type thing, but it's controlled and everyone's dragging each other in. And the aim of the game is to get. It's probably more beneficial for the guys who are in the middle towards the back, because they get dragged deeper into a workout. They get a better workout, whereas the guys at the front are sometimes holding back. But then when it's let loose at the end, it's literally who dares wins. We've got this slogan. It's not a race. It just may turn into one. Because we mentioned some of the names. Connor Swift comes on. We've had some of the pros on. Ryan Mullen was on the other week. We've had Juan Antonio Fletcher. Sir Chris Hoy's been on. Who else? We've had some big names on there. Stephen De Jong, my old team manager at Team Sky, and they love it. And even I'm not saying whatever. Some of the guys from Zwift have come on and said, "Yeah, it's probably one of the best workouts on Zwift." Well, it's like, yeah, well, come on, get your finger out and sponsor it then. But they haven't. That's another story. So yeah, it's good fun. What it's done now. It's created a really good community. A lot of the guys, didn't know each other. They now meet up in real life. We had a meal the other night at a Sheffield restaurant, Nonna's. They support it and sponsor it throughout the year, just with some spot prizes. So we had 15 of the members went and had a meal, and they loved it. They've met each other through lockdown, and now they're in good contact. And yeah, it's done some good things.
So it's 6 p.m. Tuesday and Thursdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays run now by members. I say I never miss Tuesday and Thursday for things, but I just couldn't do 2 nights a week anymore. We chatted about kids early, and I only probably had 10 days off when Norman was born, and then it was like 6 o'clock. It's prime time. It's bath time. It's that, and it just wasn't good. I've missed bath time. I get online, and then there's some idiot squeezing 5 watts per kilo when really we want to do 3. you're not careful, I'm going to lose my rag with you here, because I'd much rather be bathing Norman than dealing with a dickhead like you. But we've really, calmed it down. Any of the idiots, we just say, look, this is what it is. If you don't like it, off we go. Because it's not live on the Zwift companion app. It's a private link. It's a private link that you get through Facebook and through thing, and we want people to, we have got a membership group in there, which if you sign up, £25 for a month, you get all these discount codes, you get all the links pushed to you, you get all the information. It just makes your life easier, and you're part of something. You're paying that £25, it keeps the DCG DonnyChainGang on the road, well, online. So it's really. I said the guys the other night who went to the meal. They're the core guys who, week in, week out, they love it. It's really helped them. 25 quid. It's a couple of pound a ride. It's better, and it's better than your spin instructor gym session. It's I'm not saying whatever, but it's led by Russ Downing. And it's on commentary. And some of when it first started, people couldn't believe that they were getting commentated on by a voice who they recognise.
That's massive.
On YouTube, they were like, I can't believe it. And the good thing was, the dad goes into the pain cave or into the kitchen at 7 o'clock at night. They were getting the kids watch him and saying, I'm watching him on telly. And, it was great.
That's
and
amazing.
It's still there now. And, as much as it is, some days it's a bind, you miss a bit of the family life inside. When you get on, you forget all that, because, everyone's smiling, they're getting FTP increases, they're getting this, they're getting that, and it is a good feeling. And, to be 3.5 years since we started, it is pretty bonkers, really.
And the other thing you've been working on, and we rearranged the podcast because you were busy with it and you're in Milan, the work you do with Rocket Espresso.
Yes, that's
very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool, and Milan was even cooler last week. Been working with the company for probably 2.5 years now, and to go and visit the Italians in Milan was nice. And that came about probably just on the edge of lockdown. I've always loved my coffee. I've always had a good coffee machine, and a good friend of mine got his coffee machine serviced through Tim Hammond, who's the owner of Pro Espresso. And he'd had some contact with different sports people and that, and he knew that Rocket was really connected into cycling, but he's not from a cycling background. So my mate said, if you want to talk anything about bikes, Russ has just finished his career, he's into this, he's into his coffee, we've done this. And so we had a call with Tim, and then he said, right, I'll send you a machine up, bit of an ambassador role, let's see where it goes. Within 6 weeks, I'd probably sold about 4 or 5 machines. Probably up to didn't make any profit out of them, because what the lads are like. Oh, you're posting about it. There's got to be a deal in it. There's got to be that. So things just moved on. They progressed, and I did actually know Andrew Mayo, the original owner of Rocket, until it's recently been sold. I did some stuff with him. He's a Kiwi guy, so I always knew the brand and knew what it was related to cycling. So. Yeah, I've just really, really worked hard with Tim Hammond in the progression of pushing it into cycling and other sports. They all cross over now. A cyclist, a motorbike rider rides his bike. A runner does. They all do the same. So it's all in the same pot. So that's why why it's called Pro Espresso. I got involved with that, and then now I'm now sort of co-owner with that, and then we've just launched a company called Fuel, which cool. is it's all in the sister company with Pro Espresso. But what Fuel is, it's a way to get a Rocket coffee machine on subscription, because a Pro Espresso sort of Rocket coffee machine, you're looking around $2,000 build. Not everyone can afford that, and does everyone want to does everyone want to stump up that amount of cash? But for as little as £79 a month, you can have a Rocket espresso machine, I should say, because they're not a coffee machine. They're better than that. They are literally coffee shop at home. You get a good
Mate,
coffee.
you were in my DMs last week when I take a photo of my coffee machine.
Yeah, that's good. Dead easy. So it's all so fuel is that, and now we're working with different roasters as well to pair the beans with that. So it's very, very exciting. But to work with such a cool brand like Rocket is really good, and I think it's one of the reasons why I can't do Tuesday and Thursday nights on the DonnyChainGang anymore, because things are really, really taking off. Probably you saw we posted earlier. We're just looking for a marketing sort of social intern to help us, really take this on to the next level. It's just two people in the company at the minute, myself and Tim, a few behind the scenes, helping out. But so it's literally, it's going to be a good journey, and such a cool brand. We've got some good things in the pipeline, but fuel is going to be good. We've just sponsored the mentioned finish line race team earlier, so we are sponsoring that with fuel this year. So that's going to be good. Just got the kit yesterday, so we've got a fuel badge on there. So we've got some cool things happening this year. We've got new. We did sort of the first 12 machines went out last month, and then now we've just got another batch. The end of this month, 20 more coming. So they're going to be available, and then you see the numbers there. 12, 20. What's it going to be the month after? It's going well. We've looked after some of the pros again. The ones who probably flit around into different places. They'll say, "Well, I'll just I'll subscribe to one in my other house that's not lived in it." You know what I mean? Because there's no minimum term on it, so you can have it for a few months, switch it out, send it back. So
if you're in Belgium for the season, get a proper espresso machine for 4 months. You can.
We're only doing it. We're doing it in the UK at the minute, but there's no. If you're a UK resident, you can drive it out there. Take it out there. We want it to be delivered to a UK address, obviously for everything like that. But if you're a British person who's going out there, subscribe to one. Get your beans sent out and everything as well. So it's got some exciting times ahead. It's good fun.
With that in mind, maybe we had
the website's fuelmachine.co.uk. So as you can see by the name, it's all about the Rocket, getting the best fuel machine in your kitchen. And everyone knows that you can't run an engine on no fuel, so that's where we're at. And you've got to put good fuel in to be a good bike rider. And it's quite funny actually. I'm still going well on my bike. The boys on the chain going, imagine how fast and good you'd have been if you'd had Rocket in your life when you were a pro. I was like, tell me that. We joke about the kids and that. It's like that coffee machine. He's on a timer to come on at 5:30 now, and I don't think I get through the day without a Rocket.
So Ross, I hear that you have a sportive.
We've not really come up with a name yet. I think we're calling it the autumn classic or something. So we're going to have it in October, so the weather might be a bit iffy. It's on local lanes, what I've trained on, what I grew up on, what I've had some good times on, bad times on. 2 distances, 100k and 200k. They sound. Everyone does. Oh yeah, it's an 100 miler or whatever. I just thought it needed to be something special for people, and it's probably it's going to be the last sportive for the year, isn't it? October. So you're going to have to get on with it. I think the 100k is 2,100 meters of climbing. The 200k is 2,300, 2,400, because it mainly goes then east out onto the flatlands, which is onto one of our Tuesday chain gangs we've briefly touched on, down the side of the River Trent, which is normally blowing a hoolie. The bunch will be split, and it'll be plug home into a headwind, hit some more hills, and then finish and have a burger and a pint. So look out for it, guys. 12th of October with in cooperation with in partnership with Sportif HQ, which is a good friend of mine, Matt Porter. So we're going to start work on promoting that soon. But get it promoted on here. It'd be cool.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Sounds amazing.
Cheers.
Is the flatland super windy? Is it crosswinds? Are we? You can't
as it goes out east,
right.
it can get pretty windy. It's down the side of the River Trent, going out around the back of Scunthorpe, around that way. We've had some smash fest down there on the chain gang, so it will be fun. Just want a bit of rain and wind, and it'll be
it'll be perfect.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll be there. We'll try and make that one for sure.
Yeah, cool.
With that in mind, maybe we head to a break for the Q&A with Russ. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Russ, we're entering into the Q&A. It's up to you how long you want to take. Usually, the first question we'd ask about what do you prefer? What's more pro, Regent's Park or Richmond Park? But as a northern man, I'm going to make you just. I want to know what's the best side of Yorkshire, what's the best route in Yorkshire, and then what's the best climb in Yorkshire.
The best side, South Yorkshire. As for Richmond Park, I think I've rode round it a couple of times. I think, done the ride London. I don't think I've ever trained through Richmond Park. I've only raced through it. So I know it's very popular with you southern types. So I've heard some things that they think it's a good chain gang around there, but they've not been down the side of the River Trent, so we won't compare that. What are we on about? What's the actual question? So we're on about the Yorkshire favourite route.
Yeah.
Favourite.
Well, favourite best climb as well, maybe.
Best climb, I think there's so many here, but the best climbs in Yorkshire, they always say you ride the climbs on, the ones you train on are the ones you sort of, love to live and all that. And they're quite short and punchy around here, so that's the kind of rider that I've turned into over the years. So there's nothing major. You go into the Peak District and you're still only 8, 9, 10 minutes when you're thrashing it, but where the Tour de France went, there's some really good climbs. I'm sort of South Yorkshire, so it's not that hilly. It's literally on the edge of going to the flatland of Lincolnshire. But as we mentioned about the sportive that I'm doing, they're all punchy. 1 minute little. They're like Ardennes climbs. So
nice.
There's no favourite one. One of my favourite rides is over the Strines, which is kind of going on the edge of Yorkshire.
Nice. On these rides, do you have a favourite cycling cafe at all? And as we forgot to ask in the coffee section, what's your coffee order as well?
Oh yeah.
My coffee order is anything that comes out of my rocket. I don't like.
Hey, there he is.
I don't like buying coffee now because it won't be at the standard what I make in the morning. I was talking to a business partner earlier.
So good.
We've got a cafe just the top of the hill near here, and the lads say, "Oh, you something for coffee?" I'm like, "No, why?" Well, one, my house is literally 5 minutes down the hill, and it makes better coffee. I'm not going to bag them, but I'm not going to pay £3.50 for a rubbish coffee when I can get one for the price of that. We mentioned about our fuel machine subscription. Literally, £2.50 a day, you've got the best coffee you can ever make with a rocket machine, grinder and your beans. So it's cheaper than a good coffee per day, and you can have as many as you want out of it, and not pay £3.50 for a pint of black water. So onto favourite cycling cafe, it'd just be it'd be called Fuel Cafe, really, wouldn't it? Surely.
So, we've spoken about it in the main chat, but what are you thinking? Cobbles or mountains? Watching, riding, mixture of both. Cobbles or mountains for you, Russ?
Cobbles. I don't go uphill very well. I've done some big rides in the mountains, but the cobbles to me they're great. Mountains, if you're going down them, are different. Had some really crazy, sketchy moments in the Giro to get back on and things like that. If you can't if you can't go uphill fast, you've got to be able to go downhill even faster because I'm not saying Pidcock can't go uphill, but you've seen him descending. He's a different level, and I had to take some crazy risks in the Giro to get back on, and things like that. So I could even just bloody finish some of the stages. So yeah, cobbles wins every time.
I heard a story about Mark Cavendish that I can't remember where I heard it, but someone was saying that you don't see Mark Cavendish descend, but he's actually one of the best descenders in the peloton because he's in the gruppetto, and in order to make time cuts or just in order to catch up with the bunch, he's practices descending all of the time. He's actually one of the best people, and people say he just flies past them on the downhill.
You've got to do. It's like you've got to get back on somehow, and that's the time where you can make up. And like I said, we're in the Giro with Cav and being in the gruppetto with him, and yeah, you have to. Everyone thinks the gruppetto is just like, oh, job done. You're always clock watching, doing the maths, like But we probably diverse a bit here. But one of the stages in the Giro, we got in the gruppetto after 5 hours, and it was like, right, yeah, we're in gruppetto now. We can cruise to the finish. And it was one of the really long days, and it was like, hold on, we've got 60k still to go. We've got 3 climbs. Work that out. Average of 20k an hour. We're going to be another 3 hours here in the gruppetto. So you can't just poodle down the hills. You've got to literally jog on. I think we had Brett Lancaster then was controlling the clock and doing the maths. He was like, boys, we've got to go when we can go. Yeah, we ride the climbs tempo. We all look after each other. We get to the top. Now we have to go. So yeah, you have to be one hell of a descender if you can't climb very good.
Is there this can go to anywhere in cycling, but what are your cycling dislikes?
I don't think it's much. I still love the sport. I know people say, disc brakes, this, that, and the other, and times move. I'm still not convinced on this tubeless thing. We've had some debates over the last few things. I've had punctures and all that. People say, this, that, and the tubeless, this. Just, put in a tube and a pair of spoons in your back pocket, and you'll get round, won't you? Most people say, what do you have spoons in your back pocket for? Change your fucking tyre. We used to do it in a day, so why can't we do it now? I haven't really got a tyre sponsor, so I can say what I wish. But yeah, things move on. One thing I don't like about cycling is the newbies that come in thinking they know everything. But that's life, isn't it? I read something the other week or probably the other month that said, if you bought a bike in the last 3 or 4 years, you won't know what a chain gang is because they didn't exist through COVID. So yeah, probably some stupid thing like that. The guys buy a bike and think they know everything, but who am I to bag anybody?
So I think we also know the answer to this one. This is a fan of the white bibs. It's a fan of the cobbles. Russ, where did you sit on the white bib short chat?
Yeah, I've probably still got a set somewhere. White bibs, I've rode them a few times in my career. I rode them, first off when I was British champion, 2005.
Nice.
And it was good actually. I won the champs. We had some weird coloured shorts that year. Anyway, we were on like a green colour shorts with obviously the sponsors down the side. So then to have the national champs kit white. Funnily enough, I won on the Sunday. Monday, I boarded a plane to, I think it was Lanzarote or Tenerife. So I was actually away while designing my kit, thinking I need to get as tanned as possible for when I get home. I was putting bloody cooking oil, olive oil, whatever on my skin to get it brown because we had a race, I think the week after. I wasn't going very well in the race when I came home, but shit, I was looking good in my white shorts, brown legs, probably white beads around my neck or something. I went to town, so
€4.
It was pre being cool, pre Blythe or whoever thought they set it all off. I started stuff everywhere.
Staying on the I guess the clothes chat. Are you a socks under or over leg warmers / tights?
There's only one right answer.
Yeah, there is. I always was under, but I'm not going to lie to you. I did get some kit. I did get some kit sent to me the other week. Right, listen to this. It was size medium, and I wanted to go out in it, so I chopped the zips off it so it'd fit me. And then at the weekend, I was like, I'm going out in those tights in order so my socks and the tights weren't all flappy around the bottom. I put the socks over the tights. And I was like, can I actually get away with this? And one of the first guys I saw on the chain gang when we met in Tickle was just some young kid, 17-year-old kid. And he had his tights over his socks over his tights. And I was like, yeah, surely I can get away with this. I was always under. But then you went to Belgium, and it was fashion, to wear socks over your tights. So I'd like to say I was under, but I had to go over, else I'd have had flappy leggings the other day, and it wouldn't have been a good look. I won't tell you the brand of the kit I cut, but definitely giving me the wrong size.
So, like, you're saying about the chain gangs outside and the race you're doing on Zwift. What do you think kind of makes or breaks a group ride?
Breaks it as in, smashes it apart, or just makes it good.
I guess good and bad.
I guess good and bad.
Well, the group rides are great. I think probably modern cycling's come on different. Probably my brother's fault designing all the training programs. While no one goes out on group rides because everyone's got set programs to do, and they're always you can't do that in a group. But we have some of the big pros who come out, Swifties and that, and they if they've got efforts into it, they'll do it before the gangs or whatever. But you can't. It's just hard to do that. But the best thing about a group ride is the banter, and like we've mentioned, we've touched on it about Zwift earlier. Everyone just goes flat stick on Zwift. You don't do that on the road. You look after the group. Yeah, a chain gang's about going fast, but it's not about you go faster. It's a chain. It's linked, so you go faster as one. So that's what tried to drill into the guys online, and even on the Saturdays, the Tuesday gangs that we do. Just work together, and the one thing that breaks it is some guy going a different speed. If that's slow as well, you've got the two lines moving up and forwards. It's about keeping that smooth. So to break the chain, all you've got to do is squeeze the speed on a bit. But what makes it a good ride is the banter, and like you mentioned earlier, nowadays makes a ride when you call it the pub on the way home.
And then finally, apart from putting spoons in your back pocket, what else are you taking out on a ride?
Got to put a bit of fuel in the back pocket, but still old habits die hard, and as a pro for years, never really leave the door without a rain cape in your back pocket. Middle pocket. In she goes. It could be a glorious day, and you still put something in your back pocket because it just feels weird, even if it's just a skinny gilet or something. You never know what's going to happen with the weather. Very rare, if it's baking hot, I won't put something in there. But rain cape in the back pocket, and before all these canisters and that, a pump in your back pocket as well. Your little rescue pump. So. Did the gilet hold the pumping board, or did the pump hold the gilet? So I'll let that go to the board and see what they think. Which came first, the pump or the gilet? I feel naked without that. Definitely, we used to race, and I've even raced without a helmet on. So things have totally changed. Going out the door now without a helmet on just seems we've done it. I've done it. I've raced it. So it's just bonkers. And I can't go out without a pair of glasses on as well. Even if it's not even sunny, I like a pair of shades as a windshield.
Yeah. Well, look, Russ, thanks so much for coming on our podcast. It's been really great getting to know you. I'm sure we've only got through like 10% of the stories that you have, and
one, maybe.
and my sides hurt from laughing so much. So thank you for coming on, mate. Why don't you just recap? Tell us what you've got going on and where people can find you.
Yeah, so now I'll probably gotta go to bed because I'm tired. It's way past my bedtime. Getting up at 5 o'clock. So Russ Downing, ex-pro, still got quite a few ambassador roles. Pinarello, Sportif HQ, Mover Fitness. Who else we got? Obviously part of Downing Cycling, and then business-wise, I am the co-owner of Pro Espresso Fuel, which is the new subscription for Rocket Espresso. So yeah, that's where we're all at. All those things are on social. So Russ Downing, Fuel Machine, DonnyChainGang. So we need another bloody podcast to reel all these things off I'm doing. But it's good. I'm enjoying. Since I retired, just really tapping back into a lot of the contacts that I made. I never was one for trying to piss anyone off. I was always did professional in my career. So now it's about opening that book back up. Who wants to do a bit. Can we all help each other out? Work with different companies that need a nudge up and that. So yeah, be a better place, wouldn't it, if we all looked after each other? So that's why never met you guys before. I saw Gareth's podcast. I thought be nice to chat. Do something different. And yeah,
of course.
I was going to say we're an hour 45 in and thoroughly enjoyed it. So like I said, episode 2 will be coming around. Pretty soon.
Great. Well, look, 100%. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Russ, cheers. Bye.
Yeah.